Hi, I'm Susan, and welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. So glad you could join us. We are here every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on WLS AM 890. If you are new to our show, we're an auction house that welcomes buyers and consigners from all over the world. We get to see the most amazing things. We specialize in antiques. We also get the coolest collections of cars, military items, coins, guns, and many other things. You name it, we've got it. Things are always exciting around here. We have at least one auction a month. And for our local listeners in the Chicagoland area, you have to come out and see us. We're super easy to get to, just about 45 minutes northwest of O'Hare Airport, and the live auctions are quite an event. Of course, if you'd like to see everything on our website, go to donleyauctions.com. That's where you will see all the items, and you can bid online from literally anywhere in the world. And if you miss a show, you can listen to all of our past episodes and check out our Unfiltered podcast for some behind-the-scenes fun. You know, we're always looking for the next great collection, so if you have something you're thinking of turning into cash, please give us a call. Our number is 815-923-7000, or you can just email some photos to us at consign@donleyauctions.com. We'd love to see what you have. Okay, so today we've got a great show for you. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about some incredible items coming up, what we're on the hunt for, and believe me, we always have some crazy stories from the auction house to share. I'm in the studio today with Mike and Randy Donley. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Susan, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Susan, and welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'd like to start with Mike today to start off our show, because this weekend we were set up, folks, at several different military relic shows. And Mike, you were at the MAC show in Pennsylvania?
The MAC show in New York, Pennsylvania. It was a two-day show, actually. We took out a taste of the Bannister collection, which is coming up in February of 2026. And the reason we do that is because we want to show some of the collectors what is coming up, some of the best stuff that we have. And the MAC show is one of the biggest military shows in the country, so all the top dealers are there from all over the world. I talked to people from Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, China, Japan. They were from all over the world, and a lot of them were very interested in our upcoming auction. It was quite a show out there. I'm happy to report that the military collectibles are as strong as they ever were. I mean, there's a lot of interest in it. Prices are still strong, and there's a great demand for it. So if you have any collections of military, whether it be from a family member or something you brought back yourself, we're always interested in turning it into cash for you. Just contact us at donleyauctions.com.
You know, you brought up something really interesting, Mike, and that is, you said if you've got something from a family member. You know, folks, I've been collecting military relics since I'm, 9, 10 years old. So we're going back 60 years in time. The war was World War II, that is, was only over 20 years. And at that period of time, everybody was a military vet. Most people that were 40 years old had served, time in the military, and they were veterans of probably the greatest war ever fought, World War II. And everybody had war relics that they sent home. And that's how we collected, folks. I would go door to door and actually knock on people's doors and say, hey, are you a vet from World War II? Do you have anything for sale? I'm a collector. I'd like to buy it. Or I'd run local ads in the newspapers and, things like that, put postcards up in local taverns. And I was actually meeting veterans. But, as you said, Mike, when you said getting things from the families, the World War II vets are almost all gone.
So we do these shows. That was about 12 hours just to drive to that show and then set up. But we do these shows to promote your items. When we have these big military auctions, we want the world to see your collection and promote it that way. And I'm very happy to say the military world is for collecting is very strong right now, both among buyers and sellers. So, I mean, it's a good time to sell if you want.
Well, Mike, one of the reasons I wanted to start with you talking about this show that you were at this weekend is because so many times people just don't realize what it takes to promote an auction. they think that we pick up the items and take photos and throw it online, and bingo, we get the best prices for stuff. And it just doesn't work that way, folks. We're constantly promoting with, as Mike just did this weekend, going to shows. Not only was he at a military show in Pennsylvania, but John, our military expert, was at another show right here in Illinois, another military show, all promoting an upcoming military auction. But this weekend, I will be at the Indy Ad show in Indianapolis promoting our October event that's coming up, because we have so much great advertising that, again, we need to go to the proper shows to promote the proper items.
During this break, check out our podcast at donleyauctions.com/podcast.
Hi, I'm Randy Donley from Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I'm currently looking for old signs of any kind, old gasoline advertising, gas pumps, old soda pop and beer signs, outdoor neon and porcelain signs. You'd be surprised at how much some of these signs are worth.
But you won't know how much we can sell them for until you send us photos at consign@donleyauctions.com, DONLEY, auctions with an S.com, or give us a call at 815-923-7000. Did you miss us? We're the Donley Auctions Hour, and we're back.
So, Mike, let's get back to the military show that you did this weekend. Did you notice any trends at all of what people are looking for and buying? Because we need to let our audience know what it is that we're looking for. We can help them sell.
Actually, World War II is still the strongest out there, whether it be German or Japanese souvenirs, and American souvenirs too. British uniforms too. I saw a lot of that on display. In fact, reenactors showing up specifically for British items. So I'd say World War II is still the strongest. Vietnam does have some following, and it's not bad. Civil War is kind of slowing down, and even World War I is now too.
Well, that's interesting because, of course, as we've always said, the older items get, the less interest they have as far as collectability. Not that good stuff doesn't always sell. I mean, Civil War still sells well if it's good, rare stuff. But right now, World War II is still hanging in there as probably the number one collectible in military collecting circles.
And I think it's due to the availability of the items. I mean, World War II produced the greatest amount of uniforms and equipment of any war ever, so there's still a lot of it out there.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because World War II was really the first time, and maybe the only time, that the United States government actually promoted the taking of war souvenirs as trophies to send home to the population back here in the United States. We did not have a propaganda ministry the way the Germans had, and we had no real way to get the people behind the fight, so to speak. So somebody in the government came up with the idea, hey, well, if we can get our GIs sending home German helmets or Japanese flags or samurai swords and all these war trophies as souvenirs, it would keep the people in the United States all excited about what was going on. And so much stuff came home during World War II.
I even like when the certain souvenirs will still have the paperwork with them, that it's okay to send it home. You know, it was the War Booty Act, wasn't it?
It was the War Booty Act, I think, of 1941. That's what it was called.
But the souvenirs usually have to be described, who took it, where it was taken, and what it is, and then that it was okay to ship home.
And those are commonly known, folks, as capture papers. So when a GI actually sent home a helmet or a flag or a bayonet, his commanding officer would actually fill out a little piece of paper, a little slip that basically said it was in fact legal to send it home. However, let's face it, we do know that a lot of items that probably shouldn't have come home came home through the mail.
Well, we also had a lot of interest in World War I and World War II firearms, which was on Saturday. So we had a World War I Springfield 1911 pistol, a World War II Colt, U.S. Army pistol, and some other items like that sold really well in the auction over the weekend.
And so what we're really doing here, folks, is switching gears a little bit. Mike was at a show this weekend, but at the same time, we had an auction going on here at Donley Auctions where we were selling guns and military relics, which is what Susan is referring to. So we were definitely selling at the same time Mike was out at the show.
Yes, we were.
And yes, things did sell well. I mean, but it's funny, no matter whether we're selling war souvenirs or whether we're selling cars or motorcycles, jukeboxes, slot machines, it's funny because the best of the best always is saleable and always brings and commands top dollar.
So I guess we should let our listeners know if you have anything like that at home and you'd like to consign with us to our next firearm and military auction, give us a call at 815-923-7000 or go to our website at donleyauctions.com to see our schedule of events. You can even send us an email with photos and your location to consign@donleyauctions.com. We would love to hear from you.
Now, Susan, you know what? I'd like to really slow down and back up here because since we've switched times, we're new to this time slot, Sundays at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m., yes. Everyone's
This
drinking
is
their
only
coffee.
our second show at this time slot, so people listening might not even understand what this show is all about. So let me start off, and both of you can jump in at any time and help me out here to explain to our listeners out there that Donley Auctions is a Chicago area auction company, and we specialize in selling antiques of all kinds. And we're on the air actually not only telling you how our auctions are going and everything, but we're always telling you what we're looking for upcoming auctions. And we try to explain to you the auction process as to how we can take your items and turn them into top dollar cash. One of our mottos here at Donley Auctions is we take your items and we make it fit in your wallet. So we can sell just about anything for you in the antiques world, whether it's one item or an entire collection. First thing is, you got to call us.
First thing you got to do, pull the trigger. Literally, call us at 815-923-7000. I have a series of experts on staff that can look at what you have by photos, even though sometimes they would actually like to see the items, but that's a good start. Let us see what you have. Then we will let you know what our next steps are. Either we're going to come out there because we do travel across the country, or we can set up an appointment for you to come out here and meet with our team to show them what you have, and they will make a decision if it's something we want to put in an upcoming auction. From there, the next step is get a contract signed, and we do the rest. We'll get it marketed, described, photographed, and put online where we have worldwide reach, and we will let you know when it will be up for auction.
And I'm glad you said worldwide reach because, yes, we are selling things, folks, all over the world. And, yes, we are picking up all across the country. Mike mentioned earlier a collection that's coming up in February called the Bannister Collection. Now, the Bannister Collection came to us. It's a military relics collection of guns and military relics and some phenomenal items coming up in February. But the Mr. Bannister was listening to the radio in Oregon, not the city in Illinois, but the state of Oregon. He heard us on the air, and he said, well, you said you'll come anywhere. How about out here? Well, we were out there the following week and picked up the collection, brought it here. We have it photographed. We're getting it all online and ready for a big auction coming up in February.
Right, that one's going to be February 7th. Mark your calendars.
Another one we picked up was just recently a huge phonograph collection in New York. Want to talk about that?
Wow, boy.
There's some stories there, I'm sure.
Yes, I sure do want to talk about that. Yes, we traveled out to New York, and a gentleman called, and he said, I remember the fact that you sold the Hazelcorn collection.
Correct.
Hazelcorn was a big antique phonograph collector, and this was years ago that we had sold this collection. but he remembered, this gentleman that called us remembered his father talking about the great prices we got for this phonograph collection. So he called us on a Thursday, and I was there on that Saturday to make sure that I flew right out there and looked at the collection and signed it up. And the following week,
we all flew out.
We flew a crew home. Mike, you talk about that. That was kind of a fun weekend.
Depends on how you define fun.
It was a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah. Basically, what we do is we come in with a crew, we pick up a truck, and we come to the residence or wherever the collection might be, and then we have to start packing and inventorying the collection and get it packed on the truck and drive it back. So that was I think 3 days of packing on that one. But boy, some of the machines in there, whew.
Very, very rare, very rare. But as crazy as this sounds, this has nothing to do with the antiques or anything. One of my favorite moments of that entire trip was the fact that we had worked all day long, 12-hour day. We were dirty, filthy. I mean, we were up in the attic. We were in the garage. We were everywhere. I mean, really hustling and working. And we called an Uber to take us back to our hotel.
Uh-huh.
And the guy came with, what kind of car was that? It was beautiful.
It was like a big Lincoln Navigator, I think.
Lincoln Navigator. Fabulous and all shiny and beautiful and everything. We pile in. And our hotel happened to be across the street from a famous theater in New York.
It was in Brooklyn. Was it the Royal or something like that? Can't remember.
Big theater with a awards program taking place that night, a televised awards program, and all kinds of celebrities showing up. It was a who's who event. And
all dressed to the nines. And
everybody, cameras everywhere, photographers, police. Well, our Lincoln Navigator takes us right in front because our hotel was on the other side of the street, and everybody's waiting to see who gets out of the car. And here's three guys, filthy, dirty, crawl out of the car. And I just remember the disappointment on everybody's face. They thought they were going to see some celebrities, and it was just
three old guys with
just the Donleys coming
of
back
dust,
from work.
Mound of dust around you like Pigpen.
Yeah. It was funny as could be. I guess, folks, you had to be there. It's probably not as funny as I think it is, but
you guys always have stories when you're out on the road.
That's the type of thing we get ourselves into. But yes, what a phonograph collection we've got coming up. The rarest of the rare early machines. If you collect antique phonographs, you're definitely going to want to watch our website. But if you have an antique phonograph collection, and we're talking old Edison phonographs with cylinder records and the big horns on them, or the Victor phonographs, or Nipper the dog, and Nipper advertising, and items like this. Anything that goes along with the old-time music stores or phonographs and records and so on, you can add to our collection. We're always looking for more. Beyond that, what other auctions do we have coming up, Susan?
I would like to let all of our listeners know about the auction I'm currently working on. Is the October 23rd through the 25th, our annual Fall Classic.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
love this auction. It's a lot of fun. There's so many eclectic, interesting things, groups of items, things that are very rare, things that a lot of people have been looking for. And not only is the auction great, but the event itself coming out to our place is quite a party. It's a room full of people, a house full of interesting customers that come in. We have food and everything. It's just a great event.
And truly, we run this auction in conjunction with the Chicagoland Slot Machine and Jukebox Convention, which is the same weekend as our show. So literally people come from all over the world for this auction. And our auction consists of anything and everything that you would find in a man cave or she shed, game rooms and everything, whether it's huge advertising pieces. I mean, the bigger the better, in old neons and porcelain signs and so on and so forth. Slot machines, jukeboxes, any type of coin op.
And, it's the foreign buyers that come in, they're very happy for this auction because of they're here for the show anyway, and they have containers sitting there, so their shipping costs
That's
them
right.
literally no more to ship another dozen items. So they'll come and they'll spend big money.
They want to fill it up. That's
Right,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it is definitely a great event. But so some of the other items that we're looking for include what, Susan?
We are looking for sports memorabilia because I have a big sports day coming up on Saturday, October 25th. So right now is a great time to be buying and selling sports memorabilia. Definitely give us a call if you have any of that. And then, of course, anything you can put a coin in, right? I would love to see some more coin-operated machines. Just some things in like the barbershop category, general store, drugstore, Petroliana. There's just so many great items that we could put in this auction.
You know, we even go as far as putting antique architecture in this auction.
Oh, we have a lot of that. Yeah.
Always looking for bars and back
Big
bars.
bars. If you got an old saloon you're closing up or a big old man cave you're closing up,
There you go.
and you got an old bar, we can sell it. We got buyers all across the world looking for those.
And if you have a bar or back bar in a location, those are the type of things we move with ease. And again, I don't care what state. You name it, we'll be out there to move it.
We even had a crew take one out of a second-story window.
I remember that story
Oh my
too.
goodness, I do remember that on a scissors jack. What a nightmare that was. You know, well, again, one of my favorite stories about bars and back bars, Mike, is the way you seem to find them. You know, looking through newspapers and everything. But tell the story about how at one point you were looking in a different state.
I was looking in North Dakota,
North Dakota.
and I found a bar, but it had a Illinois number. And I called, and it was a woman down in Minonk. Is that
Minonk,
Illinois?
Yeah.
And she said that somebody years ago had drove in to her bar and said, if you ever sell it, call me. But she lost his number, but she remembered he lived in South Dakota, so she was running ads in the newspaper hoping to find him up there.
Now, how crazy is that? So random that first on that particular weekend, you would be looking out of state to see if you could find any bars and back bars out west, and instead you find one in Illinois. But the crazy thing, folks, is Mike called me and said, hey, what are you doing? He said, I just found a bar and back bar I want you to go look at. And I was actually on my way to St. Louis, and I said, you got to be kidding me. I just passed the sign that said Minonk. I was just, you know, it was just, again, so wild of a time. You find the thing. I just happened to be out there, and everything fell into place. I remember the woman saying to me, how will you ever get this out of here? It's so big, and there's no way it can fit out the door. And I explained to her, you know, it comes apart in pieces. We'll get it out and everything. She said, how many weeks will it take you to get this out of here? And I looked at her and I said, well, we should be done in about 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't even think it took that long. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Those are the days.
So yes, we do know what we're doing when we're moving bars and back bars, and we can get them out of any location.
And get you top dollar for them. I mean, we've
Yeah,
sold
I
some
think we're known for
expensive
that.
bars. Yeah,
That's
the
for sure.
The Gene Autry bar. That was a beauty. You chased that one all across the world or across the country.
Susan and I used to go to Las Vegas, and at the Imperial Palace Hotel, they had a car display, antique cars. And
remember.
in the car display, there was always this bar and back bar that I always, every time we went
We
into
had to
Vegas,
go visit it every time.
have to
yes.
go
It's
see
still
it.
there? Yes, it's still there.
Same question. Is it for sale? Absolutely not. The owner would never sell this bar, never sell this bar. Well, lo and behold, folks, years later, the bar had been sold. I never knew that, but I get a call to come to California to move a bar and a back bar, and there it is. It's the bar that I had been looking at for years in Vegas that had currently been owned by Gene Autry, and I always wanted this bar, and the gentleman was now calling me from California to come and get it, to bring it to Illinois to sell it so that we could get it sold for him. And lo and behold, we go to California, we move it back here, and where does it go?
It goes back to California. happens. It happens. That's okay.
Things travel. So the craziest thing, this bar was made by Brunswick Company right on Superior Street in Chicago, probably in about 1895. It made its way out to California, Las Vegas, back to California, back to the Chicago area, back to California again. It's really gotten around the country.
And don't forget, you can also visit our El Capone bar in St. Charles at our good friend Mr. Onesti's venue, the Arcata.
You know, I like to mention, Mike, how many bars have we gone to look at where everybody thinks they've got a Capone bar?
Most of them.
All of them, yes.
Everybody talks about their bar being
in Chicago, most of them.
being owned by Al Capone. Well, 99% of that is all nonsense. It just didn't happen that way. But we did, in fact, find a bar, came out of Cicero, Illinois, and this bar had been owned by Al Capone. It was documented and so on and so forth. And it is now at the Arcata Theater in St. Charles, Illinois.
Yep, go
So-
visit it. Tell them we said hi.
We're going to be coming back after the break.
Coming up next, don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to have a couple commercials in here.
What would you like to hear us talk about on the Donley Auctions Hour? Give us a call at 815-923-7000.
And now we're back to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on WLS AM 890. Thanks for hanging with us during that break. We are Donley Auctions. We're located just 60 minutes west of Chicago, so come on out and visit us. We have auctions once a month. Check out our website at donleyauctions.com for our schedule. I'm in the studio today with Mike and Randy Donley. Hi, I'm Susan, by the way. And we're here today to talk about, Randy, take it from there.
One thing that we're here for you for, I'm sandwiched in between a couple financial shows. One of the whole purposes of us being on right now is to help you sell items and turn it into cash, whether you want to reinvest or what you're doing with the money. But in most cases, people come to us at a time, unfortunately, of a death in the family where a collector, one of the family members is a collector of antiques in large quantities. People call us with hundreds of this, hundreds of that, big collections, and we can make all this go away for you, and again, make it fit in your wallet, so to speak. But some of the type of things that we're always looking for are items like cars. Now, people might say, well, wait a minute, there's so many car auctions out there. Many of the big car auctions out there really don't even want cars that are Model Ts, Model A Fords. I mean, and we run into collections of these in the Chicago area all the time. And not necessarily 100 cars, but it's not at all unusual for people to come to us with 10 or 15 cars, which are, again, Model A's, Model T's, which might only be worth $5,000-$10,000 a piece, but some of the bigger car auctions sometimes don't want this kind of merchandise, and it fits right in with what we're doing. We can sell cars, motorcycles. We sell a tremendous amount of motorcycles, and of course, the older they are, the more they bring. But we sell all kinds of other items, such as the advertising that goes along with it. We've sold ads, signs for, tens of thousands of dollars that go along with car collections and everything. But one of my favorite items that we have sold that have to do with cars and motorcycles are license plates. Now, we've talked about this before, but Mike, you do all of our license plate auctions, and tell the folks out there how much you can take in at a license plate auction.
Well, I've had collections from people. In fact, I had to go down to Kentucky to pick one up once. A gentleman was kind of aging out down there, and he wanted to sell his collection. And it was his lifetime collection. I think he was hoping to get in the $10,000 or $15,000 range for it, and I think we ended up getting him close to $30,000 for his collection. It was a very nice collection. A lot of porcelain plates, the early porcelain plates. Now, when you're talking about license plates, age doesn't always have everything to do with it. It's rarity. It's the lower the number, you start to add a premium on it. When you get down to the 2-digit or single-digit plates, they can go up into the thousands, tens of thousands for license plates. Some of the very obscure ones, early Hawaii plates, bring a lot of money. So, people come to me all the time and say, "Oh, I have war plates, the soybean plates from Illinois." There's just too many of them around. They don't
common.
unless they had a very low digit number on them. Runs are another thing. When you have runs of plates, which means multiple years. The more years you have of the same number, the better. That's called a run, and some of those can bring you into the thousands of dollars, even if it's not a low number. So,
but I bring up the license plate simply because sometimes people call us with a car, and we end up with all kinds of other antiques that we pull out of a garage or a storeroom, and everything that has to do with cars. And that's sometimes where all the money's at. Again, I've said we've sold Petroliana signs in the tens of thousands of dollars, way more than the car was worth that we went for.
I remember you walking down the stairway and pointing to an oil can and said, "You want to sell this?" And the woman said, "Do you think you can sell it? And what do you get for that oil can?"
Well, that can went for $2,700, and I'll never forget. I mean, that might not sound like a lot of money to you folks, $2,700, but for a single oil can, this family probably would have thrown away.
Well, you know what? They certainly would have sold it for $5, and this is why we tell you, you have to check this stuff out.
Well, bingo. One thing we try to stress on this show is so many times people are selling things at garage sales and house sales, conducted sales and everything, because they have no other idea or no way to sell it. And I cite this all the time on almost every show that we do, that it's always fun to watch the Antiques Roadshow. And on the roadshow, people are always bragging about how cheap they bought stuff at a sale. They bought it for nothing. And the people on the roadshow, when they quote them prices, they're always giving them at auction. You could probably receive at auction. They're not saying put it online or do this or do that. No, they're saying at auction, because at auction, you're actually having people bidding competitively going up. When people are bidding, they're bidding the next higher number. When people are buying from you, they're negotiating down. If you're starting at $100, they're offering you $50. They're offering you less, that type of thing. At an auction, it doesn't work that way. The next bid always goes up.
And we have thousands of people competing to bid.
Well,
so keep that in
without a
mind,
doubt.
because when we're online and you get registered online at our website, DonleyAuctions.com, we have people all over the world looking at the same items. So you got a lot more eyes than you do at your garage sale.
And that's so important, Susan, to let our audience know out there, because if you're not familiar with the way auctions work, or you're familiar with the way they used to work 20, 30 years ago, simply in the old days, people had to come live to an auction. And Mike and I would go to auctions all the time, and boy, if there were very few people there, man, we'd be rubbing our hands together. Ooh, is today going to be a good day? We're going to clean house. We're really going to buy stuff cheap, because it was dependent on more people to bid against you. And very often, depending on weather or what have you, sometimes people just didn't show up at an auction, and we'd have a field day. Now, today, folks, it's just not that way at all. Even though we're running a live auction and people can come and bid live, we're also online. And as Susan said, we have thousands of people all over the world bidding on your items.
That's right, Randy. Thanks for mentioning that, because that's the part of the job that I love. I like to handle all of the logistics and the details to make sure once everything is ready to go, we do get it online, and we watch our registrations go up and up, and make sure everybody knows to go to DonleyAuctions.com. It's DONLEY, so you can bid right from the convenience of your own home, in your car, at a sporting event, wherever you are. You can bid with us at the same time the auction is live. But I do have a question for you because I want to go back to automobilia. You know, we love the car category for sure. Anything with wheels, vehicles, motorcycles, things like that. I saw a collection of hood ornaments come in. Actually, we call them mascots.
Mascots,
Are
correct.
those valuable items today that people should be looking for to send us for auction?
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt. People collect the mascots without having the cars. They'll have whole collections of them in their glass cabinets, and there are mascots that do go into the thousands of dollars.
Excellent.
It's not uncommon.
Good.
And condition is everything always. But even one that's a rare one in rough condition will still bring a lot of money. So
Okay.
definitely.
Good,
And we always tell
Kinda
people,
thought they would be.
when you have these items, it's like a lottery ticket, and you wouldn't throw a lottery ticket in the garbage without checking the numbers first. Use us to check your number
Yeah,
to see what you
exactly.
have.
Just give us a call. That's the first thing you have to do is call us at 815-923-7000.
And of course, that collection of, I'm going to say hood ornaments, just so you know what they are. Hood ornaments, really known as mascots. They're coming up in our October auction. Our October auction is so eclectic. We have so many different fields. You really need to go to our website and look at it because it's just a fun happening.
So even if you don't collect those items, you're going to get some great ideas on some investment items that you might not have even thought of before. So definitely check out the catalog and see if there are things there you're interested in.
Now we're talking so much about how to sell things at auction, but I want to point out also that this is a perfect time if you're a collector to be a buyer, because the age group of collectors, everybody got old at the same time. And what happened is most collectors of all these items that we're selling now, they all got to be 80 and 90 years old at the same time or have already passed. And collections of all these different various fields were not for sale at any price. People that collected their collections up and everything, they were proud of owning them. They wanted to keep them until they passed, and most collectors actually do just that. But then what happens is when the family is selling off the collection, I always use this term, there's this little sliver of time where these items are becoming available again. We have this very odd period of time that a lot of collections are all coming on the market at the same time, whereas 20 years ago, you couldn't find any of this stuff. It was all collected up, and the prices were screaming hot because it was so unavailable. Well, now, the fact is, with all this merchandise on the market, prices have softened up. I would say in most cases, prices are actually about half of what they were 15 years ago. And that's just a sad fact. But if you're a buyer right now, it's perfect because first, the items are available, and they're only available now because once they get collected up again, they're probably gone for 20 years. And again, prices are fair.
That's right. And one of the other things I want to mention, we have some beautiful stained glass pieces, windows and doors in this auction coming up in October. So I want to remind those of you renovating your homes or buying buildings where you need things to add to your home like that, like those corbels we have. We have crown molding, things that you can use in any kind of renovation coming up in October.
Yep, all kinds of architecture. But, you mentioned stained glass, Susan. We have a incredible stained and leaded glass window that undoubtedly came out of an incredible mansion just after the turn of the century. Wouldn't you say, Mike, 1905, 1910?
That's probably the time period, yeah.
When that window was made. So it's only had a few owners in its life, okay? It was manufactured just past the turn of the century in the 05 area. And then it went into a home, was probably there for 50, 60 years. From there, this leaded window went to a hotel in the St. Louis area, never got installed, I'm told, and another collector bought it for his home. So it's only had about 3 owners, and now it's available for sale again. This window is a landing window. We call that a landing window because at the top of the first set of stairs in a mansion, that would be referred to as a landing. And that's where these big, beautiful leaded windows would take place to light up the entire room. And this has Romeo and Juliet, just a magnificent scene in leaded and stained glass. You have to go to our website, folks, and look at this leaded window.
It's huge. What is it, 10 feet tall? Or
It's 9.5 foot tall and I think 7 foot across. It's an enormous window and in perfect condition.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely magnificent.
It's just outstanding. So as Susan said, if you're building right now, whether it's a home or whether it's a commercial location like a banquet hall.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be
wouldn't it?
beautiful in there, yeah.
You're never going to find a better window. I mean, you can't replicate this. You can have a window made today, but it'll never have the look of this.
No, the
this
cost
piece.
of reproducing something like that of that quality, you couldn't afford it. It would be just impossible.
And that's only one of thousands of items that we have for sale. Now, we have all kinds of experts on staff also that work here at Donley Auctions. We've got Ryan Boyle works with us, and he specializes in coins and currency. Man, oh man, he's got some great prices that he's achieved for coin collections for people. He also does sports memorabilia. We have one whole day of sports memorabilia for sale in our October auction, but we're always looking for more. We need big sports collections, or we need really great items. So I always like to say, you know, we want you to be out there, be a story topper. And by that, I mean, I want you to call us with a story about what you have and how great your items are. And hopefully it's something that we're going to want for auction where we can really get you top dollar.
You know, that's another thing when you're talking about the story. The stories and the provenance sometimes can add so much value to an item. So if you have, if it's a sign off a building and you have the picture of that building with a sign on it, that can almost guarantee a 10 or 20% rise on the sign right there. I mean, the military stuff, if you have pictures of the guy who brought it back. So any provenance that adds to it will actually add to the value quite a bit.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, Mike, because yes, provenance or the story, so to speak, is so important. And you mentioned locations. We have a sign that's 28 foot long. Is that off of a drugstore?
Yes, Myers Drugstore.
In Cary, Illinois.
Cary, Illinois. Yes.
We actually have a postcard that's not as old as the sign. The sign probably went up in the 1920s, but we have a postcard of this building showing the sign from the 1940s. Any provenance that you have to go along with it is so important.
Remember that old box of sports cards? It's more than a memory, it could be a treasure. Hi, I'm Ryan with Donley Auctions, and I am looking for your sports memorabilia, cards, and other collectibles. Turn your collection into cash. Call me today at 815-923-7000.
Donley Auctions, Donley. Auctions with an S. Always looking for quality consignments.
815-923-7000.
And that's 815-923-7000.
Give me a call today.
It's us again. We're the Donley Auctions Hour on WLS 890 AM. One thing I'm looking at on our list of items that we're always looking for is amusement park rides.
I was just going to say that. I was going to mention those carousel animals that we have coming up.
Yes.
Those have stories, don't they?
They sure do. Many of you out there may know of the Barn of Barrington.
Loved it. Yes.
Oh, the Barn of Barrington was the greatest restaurant and banquet hall. It was built by a renowned architect, Fred Charette. He just designed this place so well and had it decorated with primarily carousel horses.
Yes.
He was a collector of carousels and carousel horses, had them all over his restaurant, and we have some of the few remaining horses that came out of that restaurant.
That's right.
In this auction coming up in October.
Coming up October 24th. Exactly.
And we do have also the train, the amusement park train. I guess we're going to run that, correct?
Yes, we are. Yep. The one from the Wild West town.
From the Wild
Yes.
West town in Union, Illinois. The Wild West town was actually, our family owned the Wild West town for over 50 years. And the train that we operated here at the Wild West town came from where, Mike?
Originally the Brookfield Zoo, and then they operated it for many years, and then they went to live steam. So there were two trains. They both got sold off to the Wagon Wheel in Rockton and operated there for many years. And then we acquired both of them and sold one of
Wow.
them off because we just needed one at the park here. And I have photos of it in all three locations. I have photos of the Brookfield Zoo,
how
Wagon
neat.
Wheel, and
Nice.
here. So
How neat.
Nice.
So this train has only had 3 owners in its lifetime. It went from the Brookfield Zoo to the Wagon Wheel in Rockton to the Wild West town, and now where is it going to go next? If you have a need for an amusement park train, if you're running one of these pumpkin patches or agritourism businesses throughout this state or any state, this train has real history, and it'll get you some headlines when you buy it and move it to your location.
absolutely, and it's ready to go too. The engine was completely redone a couple years ago when we right before we closed the park. We did the
Wow.
engine, and so that train is ready to go.
So neat. So not only do we have amusement park rides for sale in this auction, but we're looking for more. Maybe you were a carnival or a small park, or your family was. You know, if you've got a warehouse or a building with all these items that have been stored for years and years and years, these are the treasure troves that we just love to get
You know,
into.
parts to rides too. You know, like the rocket ships off there, or the seats off a Ferris wheel and such like that. They all have great value. There's collectors that are looking for those.
And even the coin-operated kiddie rides that you would see in a shopping center or anything, some of those have some serious value.
Yeah, the classic ones like the horse. You know, they always sell real well. But there's helicopters, there's spaceships, there's other animals, there's sailing ships. I mean, just crazy
Yeah,
stuff
that's
that
true.
they made.
So if you have anything like that, again, I just want to remind you to give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us some pictures of those beautiful items at consign@donleyauctions.com. That's DONLEY, auctions with an S.com.
Now, I'm looking at our list of items that we're always looking for, and I see jewelry and watches, which again is a Ryan item here. Ryan is our guy, so to speak, who does jewelry and watches. But do we have watches coming up in the October auction? I think we do.
There's some gold pocket watches in there. Yes, that'll be coming up with the jewelry and some really nice ones too. Solid gold cases.
Now, what's interesting to me, Mike, is that so often people are selling off their jewelry and watches and really not checking this stuff out. Again, people buy it at house sales and this type of thing. But in the case of these watches we have coming up in October, I'm told that the gold value is actually more than the watch itself.
Oh, absolutely. If you got a solid gold case, whether it be 14 or 18 karat gold, it will 99.9% of the times, unless it's a high-end repeater or 21 jewel works or something of a very high-end maker, the case will always exceed the value of the watch.
So in some cases, these watches could be worth $1,000 just in gold value.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Wow.
Ryan had a beautiful, very long gold chain that was broken. Doesn't matter. Still worth its weight in gold for sure. So that's also coming up in October.
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up, Susan, because that, again, is really important because sadly, there are people out there that would try to take advantage of people saying, well, broken jewelry isn't worth much. It's broken. It needs repairs and everything. And people accept that, not understanding, wait a minute, no, the metal value, the jewel value is worth way more than the piece as jewelry anyway. Scrap value, folks, is very often worth way more than the piece is as a piece of jewelry.
That's right. So let's remind everybody, if it's broken, it's still probably worth something. If it's dirty, don't clean it.
Oh,
If
my
it's
goodness.
got a story to it, write it down.
Thank you for saying that, because
clean it, yeah.
we just recently acquired a collection of Indian head pennies.
Oh,
Indian
okay.
head pennies, which unfortunately the people took Tarnex.
No.
Yes.
No.
And they cleaned the copper and made them all shiny. And I'm not knocking the product Tarnex. It's great for whatever you need it for other than coins. Don't use it
Oh my
on
gosh.
No,
coins.
you don't touch them. You do
Yeah.
not touch them.
The other thing I want to mention too about vehicles is that we love selling unrestored vehicles. It doesn't have to be mint. It doesn't have to be perfect. People are still paying good money for unrestored vehicles.
We have a few cars coming up in this auction. Not a lot, but 3, 4, 5 cars that are going to be in this auction coming up in October. And one of them, actually, we call it the Jerry Garcia car, even though it wasn't Jerry Garcia's. It was owned by the band.
By the Grateful Dead,
The
yes.
Grateful Dead owned this old 56 Chevy. And years
drove it
ago,
around.
Years ago, we pulled this car out of California and sold it at our Grateful Dead collection. This is about 10 years ago.
It is. It was one of our first big auctions.
It was unrestored and a beater then. There's no doubt about it. The Grateful Dead did not take care of this
I'm
car.
sure they have stories too about things happening in that car.
But sadly, in the last 10 years, storage has not been kind to this car. So it's only gone downhill. But it is what it is.
Right.
It's still the car that the Grateful Dead used as a fun vehicle that they toured around in. And we've got some provenance with that. So even though it's unrestored and beat to death, it's going to be for sale.
Great project car for
Oh,
father-son team. Yeah,
This would
got
be
a
a
great
car
story to
worth restoring because of the history. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience?
Of course. I always want to remind them of our phone number, 815-923-7000. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have some ideas for our radio show, we'd love to hear from you. Do you have some items you want us to talk about? We'd love to talk about that on the show next time.
And if you'd like to be a guest on our
that's
show,
even better.
if you have a particular specialty in antiques, we'd like to hear from you because we have guests on our show all the time.
And don't forget, send us an email at consign@donleyauctions.com. It's DONLEY, auctions with an S. And stay tuned next week for another fun episode of the Donley Auctions Hour every Sunday on WLS AM 890.
So for now,
I'm Susan.
I'm Mike.
and I'm Randy Donley, and we'll see
you
you
at
at
the
the auction.
auction.